Welcome to Seeing Green Solutions for Our Daily Lives, the podcast where we spotlight the brands, ideas, and people making it easier to live sustainably every day. Today's episode is part of our Spotlight series, a deep dive into one of our Seeing Green Solutionists of the day. And now, today's solution.
Welcome to the Deep Dive, which is part of our Seeing Green Spotlight series. Our mission here is really to take a closer look at the Seeing Green Solutionist of the day and unpack the real solutions they're bringing to the table. Things that can help all of us live healthier and greener lives day to day. Today, we're diving into an industry that, well, it really touches every corner of the globe. Travel and tourism.
It really does. The reach is just astonishing, isn't it? We're talking about a sector that employs something like 1 in 10 people around the world. And beyond just the sheer economics of it, travel has this unique, almost magical power to connect people, bridge cultures, foster understanding. A few other things can do that quite the same way.
Absolutely. That potential is huge. But let's be honest, as wonderful as travel is, exploring the world definitely leaves a mark, a footprint. Our journeys, whether we fly or go by land or sea, they inevitably have an impact. On the environment, certainly, but also on local communities, on the very people who live in these incredible places.
It's a real paradox, isn't it? We're drawn to the beauty, but sometimes the very act of seeking it out can, diminish it.
Exactly. And that realization, that tension, is precisely why this whole idea of sustainable travel and tourism has become so critical. It's not just some buzzword anymore, is it? It feels like a really necessary framework for how we should approach exploring the world now.
Oh, absolutely vital. It's moved way beyond being a niche concept. It's fundamental.
So just to be clear for everyone listening, what does sustainable travel and tourism actually mean today? It feels like the definition itself has evolved quite a bit over time.
It really has deepened. Nowadays, it's generally understood as a mix of 3 key things, 3 pillars, if you like. First, it's about actively respecting and even regenerating the natural environment and the wildlife where you travel. So it's more than just leave no trace. It's aiming to actually contribute positively to the ecosystem.
Right, like leaving it better than you found it, ideally.
Exactly. Then the second pillar is preserving historic sites and cultural locations, making sure that the unique heritage of a place isn't just, gawked at, but genuinely celebrated and protected for the future.
Okay, environment and culture. And the third piece?
The third piece, just as important, is making positive economic contributions directly to the local communities and their economies. It's really about ensuring the money generated by tourism actually stays in those communities, benefiting the people who live there, rather than just flowing out to big international companies or somewhere else entirely. It's about fairness, creating an equitable exchange.
Shifting the benefits back locally, empowering people on the ground, and being a positive force for the environment. Okay, that really sets the stage perfectly for our Seeing Green Solutionist of the day, G Adventures. They've been in this space for a long time, really pioneers, haven't they? Leading the way, innovating, and helping people travel more responsibly and sustainably. So let's get into their commitments, their initiatives, some of their key partnerships. This is where it gets really interesting, I think.
Definitely. And G Adventures really tries to tackle those footprint challenges we just mentioned head on. Environmentally, you're looking at everything from the carbon footprint, which is huge in travel, to the massive problem of single-use plastics. Socially, their focus is sharp. Animal welfare, child welfare, super important, plus genuine respect for indigenous cultures and making absolutely sure that local communities benefit rather than being, exploited.
Right. And avoiding that old model where the money just bypassed the locals completely.
Exactly. Challenging that traditional model where, the wealth often didn't reach the people and places, providing those amazing experiences. And this is where G Adventure's whole philosophy, built up over decades, really comes into play. They're based in Canada, started way back in 1990 by Bruce Poontip. Small group adventure travel is their thing, and they operate now in, over 100 countries? Their core idea, their guiding principle, is summed up in 3 words. G for good.
G for good. Simple, powerful. What does that actually mean for how they run their business day to day?
It's this deep company-wide belief that travel can be, and really should be, a powerful force for positive change in the world. They break down their efforts into 2 main strands: acting responsibly in how they operate and creating positive impact through community work. And sort of underpinning both is this concept they call community tourism.
Community tourism. Okay, that sounds like it gets right to the heart of ensuring local benefit. How do they define that term?
So think of it less like just visiting a place and more like a deliberate partnership. It's built on meaningful relationships with local people. It means G Adventures designs their tours specifically so that the benefits, both financial and sort of respect, flow directly to those communities. It turns visitors into genuine partners, not just observers passing through. And this extends to their own staff, their suppliers, the travelers. It's a whole ecosystem approach.
Okay, that makes sense. A more holistic way of looking at it. So that's the big picture, G for good. But let's dig into the specifics. How do they actually do this? Let's start with acting responsibly. What are they doing on the environmental front? Climate action seems like a big one.
Huge. They made a really serious commitment under the Glasgow Declaration on Climate Action in tourism. For anyone unfamiliar, that's basically a global pledge for tourism organizations to speed up climate action, aiming for those Paris Agreement goals. G Adventures has specifically pledged to cut their carbon footprint in half by 2030. That's ambitious. It's part of a wider climate biodiversity plan they have. Shows a real long-term view.
Having emissions by 2030 is definitely ambitious for a travel company. And what about plastics? That's something travelers see everywhere, unfortunately. How do you even start tackling that globally?
Yeah, it's a beast of a problem. They have what they call the Plastics Partnership Project. The aim is to systematically get rid of single-use plastics on their tours worldwide. It's not easy, involves working with suppliers everywhere, changing habits, and alongside that, they're really strong on animal welfare. This is something so many travelers care deeply about.
Rightly so.
Absolutely. They developed a really solid policy, and crucially, they did it with experts, people from World Animal Protection, the Jane Goodall Institute, the World Cetacean Alliance, the big names in animal protection. It ensures animals are treated humanely on tours, setting a really high ethical bar for wildlife tourism.
Wow, getting input from groups like Jane Goodall Institute. That's serious commitment. And I saw something called Trees for Days. Sounds quite direct.
It is. It's a fantastic initiative they do with their nonprofit partner, Planetera, which we'll talk more about. But basically, for every single day a person travels on a G Adventures tour, they plant a tree in that traveler's name. It's simple but powerful. Every trip automatically contributes to reforestation, makes the positive impact really tangible.
I like that. Okay, so beyond the environment, acting responsibly also covers social and cultural respect. Child welfare is obviously a massive, sensitive area in travel. What's their approach there?
It's absolutely critical for them. G Adventures actively works to protect kids, and actually, they were the first global travel company ever to get certified by Friends International Child Safe. That's a really tough standard. Ensures companies are actively preventing child exploitation. Being the first says a lot about their commitment. They also really emphasize respecting the rights, history, and culture of indigenous peoples. Making sure tourism supports their well-being, economically and culturally, helps preserve traditions, not erode them.
That's so important. And what about guiding the travelers themselves? How do they encourage responsible behavior on the ground?
They have a clear traveler conduct policy. It basically lays out guidelines for respectful, safe, enjoyable experiences for everyone, staff, suppliers, locals, other travelers, sets the expectations. And they also publish a modern slavery statement, which is about identifying and getting rid of any risks of modern slavery in their own operations and their supply chains. That's a deep ethical commitment.
Okay, that's a really comprehensive picture of acting responsibly, but it sounds like their impact goes beyond just minimizing harm, right? They seem focused on actively uplifting communities, which brings us to that second pillar, creating positive impact, and that nonprofit partner you mentioned, Planetera.
Yes, Planetera is absolutely key to their impact model. G Adventures founded it back in 2003. Its mission is pretty unique. It empowers local people to develop their own communities, conserve their cultures, and create sustainable ways to earn income. And the crucial part is their mantra: solutions, not handouts. It's about investing in local entrepreneurs, building skills, creating long-term economic independence, not just temporary aid. The projects Planetera supports are designed for the long haul, embedding that positive change right into the community fabric.
That distinction, solutions, not handouts, feels really important. And for travelers wanting proof of where their money goes, you mentioned the Ripple score. That transparency seems powerful.
It is. The Ripple score is brilliant, actually. It's just a simple score from 1 to 100. It shows you, the traveler, what percentage of the money you spend in the destination on your tour goes directly to local services, local guides, community-owned guest houses, local restaurants, that kind of thing. The higher the score, the more money stays local. It makes the impact really visible, helps you make informed choices, and kind of connects you more directly to the well-being of the place you're visiting.
I can see how that would encourage people to pick higher scoring trips, sort of voting with their wallets for more local impact. What about the G Values Fund? That sounds like an internal thing.
Yeah, it's a really neat internal program. It gives low-interest loans to G Adventure's own tour leaders. They call them CEOs, Chief Experience Officers. The fund helps these local leaders start their own travel-related businesses, so it fosters entrepreneurship right there on the ground, keeping the benefits local. And just touching on inclusivity, it's worth mentioning, G Adventures really puts a strong emphasis on diversity. They actively embrace and support the LGBTQ+ community across their tours and partnerships. Creating a welcoming space for everyone is clearly important to them.
That's great to hear. Okay, let's shift to partnerships, because this seems like a major way G Adventures amplifies its impact. That National Geographic Expeditions collaboration there was some big news recently.
Huge news. Just on July 7th, 2025, they announced they're extending the partnership for another 10 years. That builds on almost a decade already. It's a massive endorsement, shows how aligned their visions are, transforming travel, connecting people meaningfully to the planet and each other.
10 more years, that's significant. What kind of trips have they created together that really capture that shared vision?
Well, they launched National Geographic Journeys with G Adventures back in 2015, and then the Family Journeys version in 2019. Between them, they've developed over 100 itineraries now in 52 countries.
Yeah.
In places like South Africa, Japan, Egypt, Greece, Thailand, a really wide range. And the key is that these trips are built around National Geographic's incredible legacy science, exploration, education, storytelling. It really takes the experience beyond just sightseeing.
So it's more about learning, engaging with the place on a deeper level. And what's the tangible impact from these specific trips? Can we measure it?
Yeah, the numbers are pretty impressive. These specific journeys actively support 25 different social enterprise projects, and they estimate they've helped uplift over 51,000, almost 52,000 local people globally through these community tourism projects. Plus, a portion of every booking supports the nonprofit National Geographic Society's work in research and education. And the experiences themselves sound incredible, like imagine learning hands-on noodle making in Vietnam, or ziplining in Costa Rica, or getting a private taiko drumming lesson in Japan, or meeting monks in Chiang Mai, learning from wildlife researchers in Kruger Park, exploring ancient sites in Athens with an actual archaeologist. They even have this experience in Greece where you visit a place called the Shidia Cafe and hear directly from a guide who used to be homeless about how the financial crisis impacted people there.
Visiting the Shidia Cafe, that sounds incredibly powerful. Hearing that personal story, it connects you in such a different way than just looking at ruins. Really brings home the privilege of travel and the responsibility. But National Geographic isn't the only major collaboration, right? They also work with the Global Sustainable Tourism Council.
That's right. They teamed up for a digital series, Travel Redefined, Tourism for People and Planet.
Okay.
And as part of that, Bruce Poontip, the founder, actually went back to the Ecuadorian Amazon to visit one of their very first community tourism partners from way back in 1990.
No way. 30 years later. That's amazing longevity. What was that story about?
It's a really beautiful example. It's about a man named Delphin and his indigenous family in a village called Pimpila. They've hosted G Adventures travelers for over 3 decades now. And the income they've earned through tourism, managed sustainably with Planetara's help, has literally allowed them to protect their culture and stay in their ancestral village. Many others in the region had to leave for cities to find work. It perfectly illustrates Bruce Poontip's point. Community tourism is about including everyone in the tourism supply chain and everyone benefiting.
As tourism grows.
Right, exactly. And he has that powerful quote, "Travel is a privilege. Very few people on the planet get to travel, and with that privilege comes great responsibility." It just underscores everything, really. And it explains why G Adventures now works with over 130 local communities worldwide.
That quote really sticks with you. Privilege and responsibility. It's not just about consumption, it's about participation. And beyond these big partnerships, G Adventures offers a pretty wide range of other types of tours too, right? So there are responsible options for different travel styles.
Oh, definitely. For instance, there's the Jane Goodall Collection Wildlife Tours, endorsed by Dr. Goodall herself, focusing on ethical viewing and conservation. But then you've got their classic tours, wellness trips, local living stays, which are really immersive, active adventures, rail journeys, private travel, a more upscale deluxe collection, even solo-ish adventures for independent travelers who want some structure. Basically, they've tried to build responsible options across the board, all grounded in that G for good idea.
That's quite the range. It really shows how you can embed purpose into different kinds of travel experiences. So, wrapping this up, thinking about G-Adventures really makes you reflect on your own travel choices, doesn't it? That ripple effect we create every time we travel.
It absolutely should. Hopefully, this conversation encourages everyone listening to think about how they can be advocates for more sustainable travel. Whether you're planning your next trip or just talking about travel, it's about trying to ensure our adventures leave places and the people in them better off, or at least no worse off, long after we've come home. That's the goal, right?
A powerful thought to end on. To learn more about G-Adventures, you can visit them at gadventures.com.
And if you're interested in finding more brands and innovators working towards a greener, more sustainable world, check out the Seeing Green website. You'll find more trailblazers promoting eco-friendly living through innovative products, solutions, and practices. That's online at seeinggreen.eco. And you can follow us at Seeing Green Eco across social media channels.
Thank you for joining us for this episode of the Seeing Green Spotlight Series podcast.